Hi, I'm Shannon Kelly, and today I wanted to share a little story with you. I work with a lot of women that have been through a cycle or two or 10 of narcissistic abuse. And I'm not going to talk today about narcissistic abuse so much that I want to share the story of the narcissist. And I'm going to read it directly from this book. It's a really lovely book called Unmasking Narcissism, and it's kind of like a simple version of understanding narcissism. Definitely may not be a helpful book if you have had a narcissist that has caused a lot of damage. And I say most narcissists cause damage, but some cause extreme damage. Usually a sense because some may not have a conscience of what they're doing, and so they may break a lot of rules that aren't normal for human beings. And so when I'm working with clients, I often tell them they're not quite programmed like human beings typically are programmed, but it's not what we're going to talk about today. But I wanted to read this because I've literally had clients that are unsure if they're in a relationship with a narcissist, even though everything that they're telling me is kind of the basics of it. And so this is a story of Narcissist. It comes from Greek mythology. So I've read this before literally to clients, so I wanted to give you a little reading of it. So the word narcissism comes from the ancient Greek myth Narcissus, a young man who is tricked by spirit into falling in love with his own reflection. He became so obsessed that he eventually died from starvation. Tragically, Narcissus never realized that he was in love with a reflection, was not a real person. He died attempting to obtain perfection. One thing you'll notice about narcissists is they try to be perfect in front of others. It's one of their things. Oftentimes narcissists underneath have very low self-esteem, and so they build up their self-esteem by having others congratulate them. It's kind of a thing. So, going on. But the tragedy does not end there. The lesser-known character in the myth, named Echo, a nymph with a particular curse. She could only repeat what others said to her. She couldn't share her own thoughts and feelings. One day she saw Narcissus walking in the woods and immediately fell in love with his beauty. Although she tried to get his attention, her curse made it impossible for her to communicate. Narcissus only heard his own words echoed back. The echo's tale ends in despair. Eventually, she dies of a broken heart. A couple of the things here that are really interesting is oftentimes when someone is in a narcissistic relationship, they're not able to share their thoughts and feelings because the narcissist has no way to validate them, because to the narcissist, it's not important. It's only his that are important. As you know, he only likes his own reflection. So it's very interesting. And if you've ever known anybody or yourself have lived through narcissistic abuse, you could often feel like you died of a broken heart. And so raising people up from that particular darkness is kind of my specialty. So I'm going to read just a little bit more here. So the story of Echo is familiar to anyone who's been in a relationship with a narcissist. You try to make yourself known, but your efforts seem doomed to fail. You seldom, if ever, feel seen or understood. Your perspective is ignored and your feelings are invalidated. And like poor Echo, your attempts to communicate fall flat. At times, you feel invisible, enraged, depressed, and humiliated. You become locked in a battle for recognition. While narcissists gaze longingly in the mirror, you gaze longingly at the narcissist. But unlike the simplicity of the Greek myth, real-world relationships with a narcissist cycle between highs and lows. And sadly, your experience echo rapture and despair over and over as the relationship shifts between periods of idealization and devaluation. So I'm not going to talk anymore about that, but I think what's really interesting about sharing all of that with you is you can have someone who's perfectly mentally healthy, and they fall for the charm and perfection of a narcissist. And then they end up eroding themselves until they no longer see their own reflection. So Echo, when she saw her own reflection in the mirror, I'm sure at some point she didn't recognize herself, and she felt like the crazy one. And if you have a deviant narcissist, they're going to do things to make you think that you are the one with all the issues. And this is what I like to clean up in my coaching, is healing the parts of ourselves that have been hurt by the narcissist, and also the parts that were probably hurt as children that led us to looking for perfection in the narcissist. It's not uncommon for women who end up in narcissistic relationships to realize that their father or a father figure or mother, sometimes you'll see that, had narcissistic personality traits, because our parents are the ones who teach us who we should love. And so there's a couple different aspects of that. I'm not going to go into that any deeper, but I thought I'd share with you this little story of the narcissist. I hope you find it kind of entertaining. If you have been Echo or you notice yourself in that space, reach out to me. I think healing from this is powerful, because if you can get back to who you are in the mirror, then you can do the amazing work that you are meant to do here. And there is nothing more fulfilling, I personally believe, than living a life of service, doing what you love. So I hope you have a great day. I love all humanity, and I hope you have just an excellent, excellent evening. Thanks.